In question 3 on the exam, we were asked to factor 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. There are other techniques that you can use to factor this, but the way I did this one is I simply did a little guess and check. I knew I needed to make negative 3, and so it was either going to be a minus 3 and a plus 1 or a plus 3 and a minus 1. So I started here. And then to get this 4x squared, it's either going to be a 4x and a 1 or a 2 and a 2. So I just tried 2x. And then in my head, I just did the distributed property to see if it matched up. So I get the 4x squared. I get the negative 3. What I really have to check is what is 2x plus negative 6x? 2x plus negative 6x is negative 4x. So luckily I got it on the first try. But if you didn't end up getting the negative 4x in the middle, you just move things around until it works out. This is not the most efficient way to factor a quadratic trinomial. But, oops, what am I doing here? I was going to write out the final answer and highlight it. But in this case, it's pretty quick just because the numbers were so small. So that's my answer. And I guess what I'll do is show you one other method. What am I doing? Show you one other method called the Berry method that you can try if the quadratic is more complicated. So another way to attack this is with something called the Berry method. I'm just going to write that right here. I won't go into why this works, but it does work. And the strategy works like this. We know it's going to be the product of two binomials. So what we do is we write down 4x and 4x right away. Whenever I see 4x squared here, I write down 4x and 4x. Then I also do 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12. And I'm going to look for a pair of numbers that when you add them together, you get negative 4. And that's going to be a negative 6 and a positive 2. Right? Negative 6 times positive 2 is negative 12. And negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So we'll write minus 6 here and plus 2 here. Now this is not the final answer. You'll notice this answer does not look like the one that we arrived at before, but it is a multiple of the final answer. So what we do in each case is we just look for a GCF. In this case I have a GCF of 2, and in this case I have a GCF of 2. And then we'll divide all the terms by those GCFs. So in this first one, I end up with 4x divided by 2, which is 2x, minus 6 divided by 2, which is 3. And on this one, I have 4x divided by 2, which is 2x, and 2 divided by 2, which is 1. And so I do end up with the same answer that I had in the previous one, right? These two answers match, which is good news. Oops, that's the wrong pen. I was going to put a smiley face here. So those two answers match. The first method I used was called guess and check. The second method was called the Berry method. If you have questions about that one, I can help you more in class, or you can Google that on YouTube. You search it on YouTube or Google, and you can find references to that. Okay, enough with the factoring. That's the answer to number 3. The next video will have number 4. Take care.